All right, so let's now play around being able to update an object that already exists on the in the database. Like for instance, being able to change your first name, last name, email, and whatnot. So to do that, the way it currently works is that it goes off as a request, as a put request in the client side, from the client side to the server. So this put is the one that's handling this on the server side. And currently, the way it works is that it finds the user in the by the ID, right? Looking it up in the array, right? So let's not do that, right? So let's comment that out, and instead, right? Let's use the user model to do this, right? We're going to grab the user model, right? And we're going to use an update user that takes in as argument the user ID that we have there, and is going to take the user object, which will contain the new values of the fields that we want to update. Okay, and the server the database server will respond with the status information saying that it was successful in the update or not, right? And we're just going to respond that status back to the client. So we're going to send status. We're just going to say 200. Okay, but we don't have this implemented on the model. Let's implement it. Let's go here and add it to the API user model. Right. Hopefully you're seeing a pattern. Right. Right. It's the service. The service here is the client. Right. To this to this file, right? So the service is saying, "Ooh, I wish there were this function that allowed me to do that," right? And it drives the API that we need to implement in the model, right? As opposed to implementing a model that is very broad or very generic and might be implementing all sorts of behaviors that we might not need, right? So it's ideally to to do it from a top down as opposed to a bottom up. Have the top down service, right, dictate what it is that it needs from the model. Yes, right, and then the model will oblige. Right, so we have function update user, and we have here the user ID and the new user data, right? So what we need to do here is be able to update, right? Use the low level update function in the mongoose library, right? Which we looked at yesterday. So it's the same one that we looked at yesterday. We say user model and then update. Update takes two arguments, right? The first argument is the predicate. So you identify exactly what document you want to update, right? So to do that, we have the user ID. We'll use a primary key to filter out. So that is the document that we are updating, right? You could be updating more than one, but this is a primary key, so we know that we're just updating one. The second argument is the actual update, right? What is it that you want to update? And again, there might be certain things that you don't want to update. Maybe the username you don't want to let them update. What you could do is have a set command here that then allows you to select exactly what fields you want to update. Right? So you might say, I will allow you only to update the first name from the new user.firstname, right? And also maybe the last name, the phone, and the email, perhaps. Okay, so maybe first, last, email, and phone. Okay. We could have just done this, right? Set and then new user. Yes? Right? And because new user already has fields called first name, last name, email, and phone, right? With their particular values. But here you're blindly just updating everything, right? Or at least anything that comes from the client. Anything that the client doesn't submit, it won't be here and it won't be updated. Okay? But this would allow you to also change the username, right? And the password and everything. So you could be more discriminative by explicitly saying what it is that you want to update. Okay? Or if you want to blindly change everything, you could just say set and then new user. Right? Another way that we can remove fields that we don't want to update and make sure that they don't come from the client. We can always delete individual fields from an object. Right? We can say delete new user dot username, for instance. Right? That will remove the attribute username. Right? If it's there. Right? So if the client sends in a new username, we're going to ignore it because we're going to remove it right there. Okay. So there's several ways, right? This is one way. We'll remove that field. Or here, you are explicitly telling me exactly which ones you want to update. Okay. So it's it's up to you. Both are legitimate ways of doing it. So let's this is going to set this, right, and then it's going to return a promise. So update user we implemented on the client over here, and it's going to respond to 100. So let's restart the server, and let's try to update this. Let's see if we have Ken in there. All right, we have Ken. And notice that the only thing we have is the username and password. Let's update their first name. Let's see if that works. Let's relog in. There's Ken. Kenneth. Doe and K Doe at nowhere.com. Let's see, first, last, email. Oh, I guess we don't have a phone. All right. Let's click on update, and it went there. It went out, and it returned an OK. If we go back to Mongo and do a find. Indeed, we have Kenneth, last name, right? And we have, is that all we updated? I thought we updated something else. No, I guess so. Email, why didn't the email update? Oh, maybe. Oh, is it in the schema even? Okay, notice that the email is not in the schema, right? So that's one of the validation things that I was mentioning earlier, right? If you were using the low-level Mongo library, right, that allows you to natively talk to MongoDB, right? You wouldn't get that validation, right? Notice that mongoose saved us here, saying that okay, you might have sent me an email, right? Indeed, did we send an email? Okay, this is the email. Let me see. We did send an email, right? But because email is not a valid attribute in the field in the schema, it was just ignored silently. Okay, it's not updated. Or did we update it here? Yeah, we did. We tried to set it even here, right? Even though it's not in the schema, the mongoose just completely ignored any field that is not in the schema. Okay. All right. Everyone make sense? Yeah. All right. Awesome. Let's continue. One other thing that we might want to do, right, is to set some default values for some of these things, right? So for instance, let's do that now.